I did a thing.
Your behavior, K2SO, is continually unexpected.
Want to know how? Let's find out. Okay, as you've seen in the intro, I managed to get sound to work on K2SO. So it plays a number of MP3 files, but I'm also able to change the lights, the colour of the lights, turn them on and off, as well as doing it all through a phone app. Basically, I took the code that does all the movement and lights the eyes, etc., added that to ChatGPT and said, can I make a button controller, but also a an app type controller where I can control the lights, control the sound, etc., and then play the MP3s in a particular order or whatever. And it literally wrote the code for me. Added that to the ESP32. What I actually did was, I took a new ESP32 and did it to that one, because I know in this one, this works, the code works, everything else works. I just didn't want to override this. So I added in a new ESP32, uploaded the code, and everything worked. There was a couple of little tweaks here and there I had to do, but it worked pretty much off the bat. And then I just went in and tweaked how the web interface looked, etc. So the way the web interface works is the ESP32 comes with Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. So ultimately in your phone or computer or whatever, you log into that Wi-Fi. It creates a username and password, so you just log into that Wi-Fi. You can load up the web page through an IP address, and then you can control your K2SO directly from that. So you could end up having a little cheap Android tablet or something like that just sitting there, allow you to control K2SO if you really wanted to. So, but to make the audio work, it was actually fairly simple once I got my head around it. I have here, which is the DFPlayer. This is a little mini MP3 player. Basically, it comes with a little SD card slot, so you put in your MP3s onto the SD card. I just added in a 32 gigabyte because it's what I had. 16 gigabyte, whatever, is probably going to be more than enough for what you need. And it's similar pins to the ESP32, and the DuPont wires just slot into the relevant slots for that. So we'll get that side of it. And we also have the speaker. So this is the Lulu Da Speaker 3. Again, all this was off of Amazon. I'll put all the links down below. And this connects to the ESP32. That connects to the ESP32. This connects to this. There's one of these, two of these pins off the speaker. The rest of it connects to the ESP32 in various places. And you just put in your SD card, upload the code, and you have sound. It's actually easier than what I thought it was. However, it's easy because ChatGPT created the code. I would never be able to write that code off the bat in the first place. So what I'm going to do is show you up close the process I took to put this together. I'll then show you on the screen of how to upload that code again through the software. There's also another wee bit in the software that I had to add to upload an image, because I had an image in the background of K2SO on the app. That's a bit of a rigmarole to do. It's not just a matter of plugging your ESP32, you see a drive and upload an image. It would be great if it did that. You have to do it through a piece of software, and there's a bit of a rigmarole of getting there, but once you get your head around it, actually it's not too bad. So I'll show you all that process on my screen, as well as putting all this together, and try to talk you through some of the code and how that works. And then hopefully all this one on the second one will all work as it did on the first. Got a little device here. I'm going to put the red wire in the positive. Screw that down. Like so. Now I'll use this green wire in the negative, or the ground, whatever it would be. Like so. So those are in. I'm going to grab this. So this is a power supply here, and it should be, if I am correct, the same way as this. So positive and negative. Oh, you don't see that screen. So positive and then negative. So taking this, I'll need to use a smaller screwdriver for that. Use this little thing, unscrew it here, positive. It should fit in here, like so. Negative. In here. Come on, there we go. And it should be as simple as that. So all I need to do now is plug this into the power, and it should work. Fingers crossed. So I have my USB power supply to check the power, and I have my 5-volt plug, which I'm going to plug into this extension cable I got. So power here. I'm going to plug in the servo power here, and then I'll plug in the USB into here. And theoretically, that should then work. The moment of truth. If this doesn't work, I think I may cry. So, USB, here we go. Let's see if we have movement. It's alive! It's alive! I did a thing. I did a thing. Oh, I'm so happy with that. However, is the actual eyes moving properly? Are they moving freely? Seem to be. Oh, I'm so happy with that. I'm so happy that that worked. So the code is moving the eyes the way they should be. Oh, brilliant, 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 brilliant. Now we just need to see if the second one works. So we'll move on to the second one and see if we can make that one work as well. Oh, I'm so chuffed. That's that. Let's plug this into the plug power supply. Plug in here. USB, fingers crossed. This tape is actually coming off. Fingers crossed. Oh, I heard movement. Oh, yeah, both of them are working. And I can't thank the Droid Division Facebook group for helping me figure a few things out, but we have movement. Chuffed. Okay, so make good progress. Eyes moved, everything else, which is great. Now I want to try and add sound, which means redoing some of the code. So what I'm planning on doing is I've obviously got the ESP board here. I'm going to remove this one and add in a new one with the redone code to allow me to do the eyes, lighting the eyes, moving the eyes, but as well as the audio. I have actually asked ChatGPT to help me along with that to sort of see how that will look. And we'll follow that process that it provides to see if it actually works. So for that, I have this little DF player. Let me just see if I can bring this on screen. This little DF sort of MP3 player. What you do is you put an SD card in here with the audio files that you want to have, and then the code will determine what's been played, etc. So there's going to be maybe two different ways I can do this. I can do it with a press of a button, which will play the MP3s. And I'll just move it forward or backwards, or we'll just play them like that way. Or I'm going to try and do it through a web app. So what happens is the web app that you connect to, because the ESP32 has Wi-Fi and Bluetooth built in. What you do is the code is going to create a very simple web page that you can then log in through the Wi-Fi that's on the ESP32, then access it through an IP address and be able to do the audio from your phone. and do it that way as well. So I'm using a bit of AI to help me along, 'cause again, coding, it's not my forte. I also have this little speaker, which I got. I think it's called a Lulu Da. I got it on Amazon. Again, all the links will down below. Lulu Da speaker. This will get connected to this. Then this will get connected to the ESP32 terminal board, and hopefully all that will be enough to power it. But we'll see. So next stage is that. So what I'm going to do is going to show you what I've asked on ChatGPT to see what it's created in the guidance it's given me. However, you don't need to do all that. If all this works, I'll make sure all the files for the code and everything else is all in there. So I'll do code. I'll supply code just for, or I can't supply the code just for the movement of the eyes, because that's part of Droid Division's files, and that's, you have to buy that from them if you want to do it. However, the code that I've got will combine the eye movement from ChatGPT, the audio files, etc., to make all that side of things work. So, yeah. So I'll show you ChatGPT and see if we can get to the next stage of having K2SO talk. Oh, and the other thing I'm going to do is there's some AI tools I've found. The K2SO audio files are obviously taken from Rogue One, etc. And I might actually see if I can find some from Andor as well. But they obviously, they've got some music in the background and things like that from the film. But there's some AI tools that allow you to remove the background, so you're just getting the voice. So I'm also going to try that to see if we can get cleaner files without the music in the background. So we'll see if we can make that work as well. Okay, so before we go into the ChatGPT and I show you what I've done in there with the code, I'm looking at the MP3 files. Now, if you go into Droid Division, you can download a whole bunch of MP3 files from different quotes, etc. that he said, that K2SO has said. I have also downloaded a few other ones, which I'm going to try and clean up and see if I can have a few more in here. But I just wanted to highlight Adobe Podcast Enhancer, or Enhanced Speech version 2. I have used this for podcasting. I actually use it for my own videos on YouTube, etc. Whereas it just cleans up the audio, makes you sound as if you're in a studio. And I had an idea of thinking, okay, well, some of these audio files from K2SO, you can hear the music in the background. Could it remove that and isolate the voice a bit more? So it's actually done a really good job in the one I've just tested. So what I'm going to do is play the audio file for this one, behavior. And this is before it's been enhanced with AI. So you'll hear the music in the background. So let me just play this.
Your behavior, K2SO, is continually unexpected.
So you can hear the music in the background. I uploaded it into Enhanced Speech, and this is the result it's given me.
Your behavior, K2SO, is continually unexpected.
Get rid of all the music, get rid of any of the background noise, and it is just his voice. So I'm going to run all of these audio files through Adobe Audio Enhancer, try to clean them up as much as possible, because when I'm doing the voice on the K2SO, I don't really want to hear the music, I just want to hear his voice. So I'll do all this and I'll try to clean them up. And again, I'll add a link to all these files in the description below as well. So I just wanted to show you this aspect of it. Okay, so I have my K2SO, I have my MP3 player, and I have the speaker. So just make sure I get this in frame for you. So ultimately what I want to do is attach this to this, and then this to the ESP32. Unfortunately, this you have to add wires to this to then clip into here. Now, on screen, I'm going to show you, because there is no markings on this to tell you which each one is in terms of the imagery, in terms of what connector is which. There is no markings on this. So on screen and in the link below, I'll supply a little image of where they are, because certain things have to go into certain places on the ESP32. Just going to grab my wires, a whole bunch of wires here. So I need a combination of male and female ones for the most part for this. So I'm just going to grab a few of them, just so I have them. And that should be hopefully enough, which I have here. So I'm just going to take, I'm going to take the blue and the green wire here. And ultimately, for the speaker, I'm just going to add in fact that's red and black. Do I have any red and black? Do I have any red and black to keep them the same? Because I'm OCD that way. Looks like I don't have any black left. Do I have any black left? Oh no, I do. I have one black left. So I'm going to try and do that, and I'll use a red one. That way I'm keeping them the same colours. So in the reds, I'm going to just pin this in here. Just push that in. So that's the red one. And then the black, getting the male side. I'll plug in, see there, I'm just plugging that straight in to the slot that's here. There we go. And what we'll do eventually is I'll put a little bit of tape around this just to keep it in place, but we'll do that for now. So that's the speakers, wires into the actual speaker. And then looking at this from the SD card slot facing down the way, so down to the ground, you basically on this side, on my left, probably your right, but my left, the bottom one and the third one from the bottom are the speakers. So ultimately all I'm doing is adding that one to the third one, adding this one to the bottom one. Speakers are connected. It really is that simple. Now we need other wires. So we need the TX. The TX is, let's use this green wire. The TX, well again, it's all on the same side. The TX is third from the top on this one. And the TX goes into number 16 of the terminal board. So, sorry, third from the top, not second, third. So third from the top goes in there. And then it clips in like that. So this is going to be loose, it's not attached to anything. So again, I may try to attach this somehow and tape it to the back of this somehow so it doesn't just float around, but ultimately it's literally just going to float around in here unless I can find some way of attaching it to this. There's lots and lots of things, so it might just happen to just float around in the back. So that's that one. Let's just start from the top, just make sure I've got it orientated the right way. Then I need the RX, which is the second from the top. That will go into number 17 on the board. So that one gets plugged in there, like so. And then ultimately I need two other places. I need the VCC. So if I grab another wire, let's just make this one yellow. The VCC, which is at the very top on this side, so plug in that here, that'll go into the 5 volt of the terminal board. So we will need to strip the wire off to add it to the others that are already there. And I'll use, what colour have I not used? I'm looking for there's a white one. That'll do. And the white one goes into the ground, and the ground is basically second from the bottom. So I'm going to add that into here. So ultimately you're doing the top 3 and the bottom 3 there. So it's all wired in. And that is basically it. And you just add in your little SD card into there. So looking at the board, you see there the board has all the numbers on it here. I'm just going to turn it this way because it's easier for me. Let me just turn the camera around a little bit so you can actually see the board hopefully a bit better. So ultimately I'm just going to try and plug these into certain areas, but I'm just going to have to strip a couple of the wires off. Because going into, I've still got one G and D left, which is fine. I can plug the G and D into there. It's basically the 5 volts. So you can see here, which you might not, but you can see here, hopefully that's the 5 volt, which I've already got things like the lights, etc. All plugged into there, or it's the lights, I think, all plugged into here. So I'm going to take that out. I'm going to take the VCC version of this, which is the top one. So it'll be, let me just double check I've got this right way. So it'll be the yellow. So the yellow one of this, I just need to strip that wire, that plastic bit off, to then get the wire underneath to then add it to this as well. And actually, that's just by coincidence, they're all going to be yellow. So let me just move that to the side. I'm just going to cut this. I'm going to get my scalpel, just over here. I don't have wire clippers, so I just want to double check I'm using the right wire. So that's facing down. Top one is VCC, and VCC goes into the 5-volt power supply, which is correct. So I'm going to cut it here. I'm just going to take my scalpel and run it along the edge. Try not to cut the wire, the copper wire underneath. There we go. Take the wire out. There's still some of the wire in here. I do need to get myself a set of wire clippers. So that is in there. Just pulling. Careful not to break any of the wire if I can. So that's in place. I'm just going to make it a little bit. In fact, that's probably just as long. That'll be okay. Just cut the wire, plastic sheath. Take the wire, give it a little twist. Just to make sure it's all like together. But if you twist it too much, it can break. So just putting it all together. And what I'm going to do is just unscrew the 5-volt. That's an intruder driver, Christopher. Using my Sunday name. Unplug the 5-volt that's already there. So you can see here, these are all in place. I'm just going to leave that tape on. And what I'm going to do is get some more tape. Now, I'm sure any electrician out there or anyone who's used to these things is probably looking at my job and going, eek. But hey, it works, and that's all I care about. So I'm going to take this, add it to that. So it's all part of the same thing. Put it together just to give it a little twist. Take my tape. Oops. And wrap that round so it's all together again. Just make sure it's all twisted together. And then I'm going to take that, add that back into the 5-volt area. Just going to open this up a bit further. Apologies if you don't really see that. The camera might be going a little bit haywire with its focus. Stick that in there. Let's make sure all the wire goes in. Put that down. And that is in place. All going well. So VCC is into the 5-volt versus power supply. So the TX, which was the third from the bottom, third from the top, just making sure I've got this the right way, which is this green wire. This is going straight into number 16. So number 16. So you're basically using 16 and 17. So I'm trying to get this in a way that you can see it. So I'm just going to unscrew 16. Get that open. Unscrew 17. Through the next wire because they're together. So this green wire. Again, I'm going to tape all these wires together so they're not as unruly. I'm going to add that into 16. Make sure it's in place. Hold it in place and give it a little screw. That's in place. I'm then going to take the RX, which is the second from the top, which is a blue one. And that goes into 17. So that's in 17. I then got the white one, which is the last one. This is a ground, and I'm going to add that to what is the last ground wire I have in here. So if I have to add in any more, I'll need to, in fact, I need to take this ground wire off to get to the screw of that ground wire. So I'm going to take off this one. just briefly unscrew this. Where did my wire go? There it is. Let's get this in here. Adding that into there. That's that one in, and I'll put this one back in. That's it. That's all you need to do with the wiring. So all that wiring is now in place with the MP3 player. And all I need to do now is, and I already have the MP3 files installed. I have a bunch of little SD cards. I have a 2 GB one, there's a 16 GB one. You just need to make sure that they're formatted for FAT or FAT32. Just stick that into here with the MP3s, which I already have on. So I'm just going to stick this in here, add it in, done. Now I can show you on screen with the code and everything else to actually make the sound work. Okay, so for the code to allow me to have controls for the audio, but also the eyes, etc., I took the code that I already had, which was straight from the PDF, and I've uploaded it into ChatGPT, and basically I wrote this. Okay, the following code works, and the eyes on the K2SO I am building move. There's the code. Give it back the code. And then I say, what I'm looking to do now is use the DFPlayer. So I'm telling them I'm using the DFPlayer combined with the Lulu DAS Speaker 3 to play MP3s of K2SO's voice. What do I need to add to the code to allow MP3s to play? I would prefer that the audio files play either by clicking a button, which I'm going to add to it. So we're still to do that part of it, but we'll do that later. Or through a phone app on my iPhone. What do you suggest? And after 31 seconds of thinking about it, I said, brilliant, nice progress. To add K2SO voice lines, you can use the DFPlayer Mini, built in, blah, 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 with your Lulu DAS Speaker 3 and control it either by a push button or an iPhone via a tiny Wi-Fi remote page hosted itself on the ESP32. Just drop in, below it is a drop-in sketch that keeps your eye movement code, adds the DFPlayer controls, the debounce button, and a simple Wi-Fi control page. No app needed. Just use Safari on your iPhone or any browser. And this is what it told me, that the DFPlayer, the VCC needs to go to 5V, the G&D into G&D, speaker into the two speakers, TX into 16, RX into 17. So that's where I got all that sort of from there as well. The button, which is getting delivered today by Amazon. Amazon must love me just now. We'll get into the number 27 and the other one into the ground as well. So there's going to be another thing going into the ground. So I will need to strip one of those grounds to add in both. So yeah, got that, and keep everything else exactly the same. I do need to add in under the software, the DF Robot Mini player, and that is easy. So all I did is copied that, launched the software, went into library, search, found it, and installed. Really was that simple. So that's all I did for that. And then it wrote me the code. I uploaded this code straight away, so you can see here it's adding in the nanopixels, the servo driver, DFPlayer. It's creating all the code around that. How that works, I don't know. But here, which I do know how to code websites, etc. I do know how to build sort of websites for the most part, because it's part of my previous agency. Here you can see it's starting to build the HTML on click, voice remote, things like that. Basically, originally it was just play, next, stop, blah, 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 as well as each of the individual tracks to play that as well. In fact, it was just play randomly or play a track. That's just where it got to this initial stage. This is how to use it. I then uploaded an image of, here's all the track listings that I have, and I can actually show you these here. I've got them all here. So this is all the track listings that I have. So I said, attached are the file names of the files, and then it says, okay, rename them 001, 002, etc., etc., etc. So we know what it would be. and then it dropped that code into here. So then it played it in order. This is when I only had 15 tracks, and then I added in more. So I've got about 20 or 22, 23 tracks. So I added all that in there, so then I can click a button just to play those individual tracks as well. Created all that code as well as stop, start, volume up and down, etc., etc. And I basically just went through and refined it a little bit. It says on launch, when you launch the code or when you switch the thing on, can you automatically play track 6, which is the track that says, hey, I'm K2SO, blah, 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 blah. I'll add that code in. It gave me the code to drop in for that one. And then I said, just give me the full code again. It wrote the full code with that. Here's the web access to basically get through the Wi-Fi to access the website, etc., etc. And I just did that and I tweaked. I says, what I even wasn't too sure what type of button I needed to buy, so I asked it what type of button did I needed to buy, and it gave me some suggestions. I found one on Amazon. I bought that. And it says, look, this is the DF player. Am I wiring this up the right way? Gave me some tips for that. With the code, can you also add controls to the web interface to turn on the NeoPixels on and off, even change the color from existing to red. I did that and call it attack mode. It did that, so I now have attack mode on there, so the eyes will turn red or go back to default. And I actually just went through and tweaked the styling of it, etc., of the page until I was happy with it. Then I got to a stage where I thought I want to add in a background image on the website or the interface with a picture of K2SO. And I found this image here, which I've actually got here. I found this, I'll put the link down below. But I found this image on a Google search. It was a wallpaper that someone created that you can download to use on your website or to use on your desktop, etc. So I found that. I edited it so it was a bit more portrait because it's going to be mostly used on mobile and ranging to the left. And I says, how can I upload this image to the ESP32? And unfortunately, it's not just a matter of dropping a file on and doing that. So to do that, if I go back here, again, the links are below. You have to download this little FS upload. So this is the what you need to download to allow you to upload an image, and you only seem to be able to upload one file at a time, or just one file, and that's it. I tried to upload multiple files, it didn't work for whatever reason. But as long as it's just one file, it will upload that, and that seemed to work. And basically, what you need to do, this will be different on PC than it is on a Mac, etc. But I went into Documents. There's Arduino. Again, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. Folder in there. You have to create a Tools folder if it's not already in there, and drop in that file into here. And then to upload a file to the ESP32, just make sure that you save down they call them sketches, basically the project that you're working on. Save that down so it creates a folder on here as well with the actual saved version. You need to create a data folder. Once you create the data folder, that's when you can upload the file that you want to upload. And that's my image here, as you can see here. I just cropped it down a little bit, made it a little bit smaller, because I was worried about size. And so it was going to be ranging to the left, and I'm coming in with all the buttons. So I put that file there. And basically what you do is once that is installed, again, if you follow the instructions on here, on this link, if you just basically follow the instructions within here, there is instructions in here that allow you to then see how you actually install this thing. So in here, what I can do is hit, on a Mac it's Control-Shift-P, I think it's, Command-Shift-P, I think it's Control-Shift-P on a PC, but Command-Shift-P, do a little search, and then you'll find here, little FS. All you need to do is then run that in any file, because I'm in this K2SO project, because I've saved it down. Any file that is in that data folder will automatically be uploaded to your ESP32. And like I say, I tried to have background image 1, 2, and 3 because I wanted something different on a mobile than a desktop, and it didn't seem to work for whatever reason, so it seems to only allow you to upload one file. If anyone knows of other ways to do that, great, please let me know, but I could only upload one file. And to be honest, it's fine for what I needed to do. I'll click on that, and it will just automatically upload whatever file is in that data folder. So that's all you need to do for that once you've got that in there. So once that's in place, you can then upload, I would upload, obviously have your ESP32 connected to your Mac, to your computer, upload the file, and then once you're happy with all the code that you are doing on here and you think you've got it where you want it to, copy it, add it to your sketch here. So this is all the code in here, and upload that to your ESP32. And then it should switch on, you should hear the audio, and then go from there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the other view so you can actually see everything that I've got. I'm literally just going to run the software. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off, just so you actually see it. I'm just going to take off. I'll show you this in a second on the screen. I've just taken off the ESP32 from my K2SO head. I'm literally just then going to plug this into my Mac and upload the software to it, and then plug it back in. All right, so just a bit of a recap. I have my speaker plugged in. I have the MP3 DF player plugged in with the SD card. MP3s have been uploaded to the SD card. Format has to be FAT32 or FAT. And everything else is plugged in. I'm not going to plug in the servos yet. I'm only going to plug in the USB to power the ESP32 just now to see if the voice works. So just going to plug this in to ESP32. Lights will come on. And then what I'm going to do is upload the audio files to it. So hopefully you'll see on screen, but I am literally just going to run all that code that we did before. That's going to take a couple of minutes to upload. Oh, a little cup of coffee, and then fast forward to show you what's happening. Well, in fact, I'm going to do this in real time. So it's uploading the code just now. Because if I do this in real time, you'll just see the voice suddenly coming to life. So let's just do this in real time. Let's see what happens. About 30% through. So you can see that on screen, hopefully, of it just writing the code. .65%, so we're nearly there. I do have it on the slowest setting, because sometimes apparently if you have it on a higher setting, like I mentioned before, it doesn't upload the code properly. So hopefully, all going well, we'll see this come to life.
I'm K2SO. I'm a reprogrammed Imperial droid.
So just uploaded the code and it works straight away. Eventually I'm going to add the little button to it so I can click through the audio. So what I'm going to do now is show you this working, and you should be able to hopefully see my phone on screen. I'm just going to go to the settings. So this comes with its own built-in Wi-Fi. So I'm going to go to the settings, go into Wi-Fi, and there's K2SO with its own built-in Wi-Fi. Password I've already got saved from the last one, so it's going to be using the same password. So I'm connected to the Wi-Fi on K2SO. I'm just going to bring up a browser. I'm going to open up a new tab, and I'm going to start typing in the IP address, which is already got saved from the last one. You can see here I have a bunch of controls. I'm just going to do a little refresh again. What I found is when you launch initially, the volume could be set at 0 or 4 when it's actually the default's 22. Do another refresh and it will reset it back to what it actually is. But you can see here, I can turn the eyes green, red, start the movement if I have the movement plugged in, eyes on, off, or basically off and then back on again by clicking one of these. Random line, next line, stop, volume, and then each individual track. So I'm going to make the eyes red. You see the turn red. Make the eyes white, back to normal, eyes off, eyes on. Click a random line.
Our optimal route to the data vault places only 89 stormtroopers in our path. We will make it no more than 33% of the way before we are killed.
And I can select different lines.
Clear of hostiles. One hostile. There's a 26% chance of failure. Quiet. And there's a fresh one if you mouth off again. Waking up humans is always confusing.
And all that was done through ChatGPT, allowing me to then tweak the styling of the buttons, etc. You can basically make this as how you want it to look. But again, I can control all of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unpower this just now. I am going to get my 5-volt DC plug. I'm just going to plug this into my extension cable, plug the power into here, and then plug this back in, and all going well, you will see it moving as well as sound and things like that. So
I'm K2SO. I'm a reprogrammed Imperial droid.
I've seen it do that before. I don't know if that's code or if that's a wire, a loose wire. So I'm going to have to look at that. That might just be a loose wire, but ultimately it's all working. But yeah, the eye going off suggests to me there is a loose wire somewhere. So I'm going to have to look at what is causing that. And hopefully it's not one of the solders. Okay, so I managed to fix that light. Basically what it was is the 3 wires going into the 5-volt. There just wasn't enough power getting to this. The wire just wasn't connecting right. So I stripped the wires again, tied them up again tight, put more tape around them, put them in, and it seems to be working fine. So it was literally a wiring issue. So all going well, that is good. So that's now working. With the audio, again, if I go to my phone, just going to connect to the Wi-Fi, K2SO, and just start pressing some buttons.
Would you like to know the probability of her using it against you? It's high. It's very high.
There's a 26% chance of failure.
All working really well. So we now have a talking, moving, light up, internal K2SO head. Just as I finished the voice on the second K2SO, I just had a delivery, and this is the buttons. So let's have a little look at these. All going well. This should be what I need. So what I got was, there's a couple of packs here with various things. I got these type of buttons. I'll just show you here. These type of buttons that they click on, off, and they look quite sturdy. So the idea would be, I don't know if that bit screws off. Yeah, it does. That bit screws off. So the idea is I'm going to try and place that somewhere on maybe the base of the K2SO or whatever. That's a little bit more discreet so you don't see it too much. And then once that's in place, that'll allow you to press the button if you didn't want to use the app, just to randomly play the audio files. And then obviously that screws in at the back just to hold it in place as well. So I've got that, and it looks like connectors are these little pins. And then the wires you get with it, I've got these yellow things. I don't know what they're for, to be honest. Those have got springs in them. And maybe it's if you want to replace that with a yellow thing. I don't know. But I also got a whole bunch of wires, and I'm just looking at what's here. So it looks like, so it looks like I've got different types of wires. So I've got the same connector either in both, or do I have the same connector on both sides? I'm just trying to see. No, they're actually, no, these are all ideal. So these are the bits that fit into here. So they'll clip in to these things like that. And that's the bit that will go into the ESP32 terminal board. So it should just be as simple as that. So I'm going to grab one of them, do this, and then ultimately that's the electronics side of things. Well, actually, I was going to say it was the electronics side of things done. I tell a lie, because there's LED lights that flash on the side of K2SO, and I want to add them as well. So if I have those on the side, those will also get added. How those work, I don't know yet. That's something I need to look at in terms of blinking lights and things. And that might be something I need to update the code again. I need to do a bit of research on that, but I'm going to do that towards the end of the build. I've got most of the electronics done. I'm going to start with the rest of the helmet, the sanding and all the usual stuff with that. And then once I've got that done, that's when I can start looking at the electronics at the side. So, yeah, let's see if I can get this button to work and if it does what it's meant to do. Okay, so this should be fairly straightforward. I'm going to take a red and a black wire, and I'm trying to look at the bottom of this. I am not too sure which one is positive and which one is negative. So I'm going to assume there's a tiny little symbol here. I'm going to make this one positive, that one negative. So it looks like one leg, unless it doesn't really matter, but I'll just do it this way anyway. So I'm going to put in one of these legs into this. That just slots in. I'm going to do the other leg into this one. So those are now in place. Just put the sheaths over them. I think those are meant to heat up, I think, and then they'll go round it. So maybe I need to put a wee hairdryer on it, just to heat them up possibly. So that's the button now with the wires on it, either side. And then apparently these two pins, put that in the bin. These two pins, one goes into 27 and the other one goes into a GND. So with the GNDs full, I'm going to have to try and put two in at the same time, and then another one into 27. Now it might be when I do the final build, this is probably going to have to get extended to have a longer wire, but I'm just going to try it with this first to make sure it actually works. So I'm going to get my screwdriver. One is to go into 27, so I'll use a red. So that will fit into here. And what it should just do is just play track, next track, next track, next track. And then I'm just going to take out this GND and see if I can combine both of them together into the slot. Which may or may not be easy. So what I'm going to do is put that one in first, then put in this one, and hopefully that has connected. Okay, so those are in. Now I've also now got the power for the moving the eyes. I'm just purely testing out the sound. So I'm just going to grab my USB, plug this in, and it should power on.
I'm K2SO. I'm a reprogrammed Imperial droid.
So now this is an on-off switch. This might be the wrong button to have got. Because I just want one that you just press and it thingies it. This is more of an on-off switch. So actually, I might have ordered up the wrong button. But let me press anyway.
And there's a fresh one if you mouth off again. The captain says you are a friend.
Which does work.
I will not kill you. Congratulations. You are being rescued. Please do not resist. I'll be there for you. Cassian said I had to.
So it is working, but it's more of an on-off switch. So I'm going to see if I can find a different version of this that's just a button that you press. But that works. I've wired it up and it's all working. So the button works as well. Just need to change the button type. Perfect. In next week's episode, we go back into sanding, Bondo, and building the K2SO head.